Hey everyone. I think this is working, but I'm not 100% positive yet. Alright, I think it's going on YouTube. Cool. So I am gonna tie a Catskill style dry fly today. It's been a while since I've been on, so I'm just gonna tie a Quill Gordon-ish fly, just using a quill body and wood duck wings and some medium done hackle. But any questions, put them in the comments in terms of if there's anything you don't understand or want to see in greater detail, and I'll be happy to answer them after the live is off. All right, thanks so much. All right, so the first thing I'm using uni thread in tan, which is kind of my standard color and thread for tying these flies. I use uni thread a lot. I use other threads, including Semperfly and Vivus as well, but I always kind of go back to uni for these flies, and I do wax it. I know it's pre-waxed already, so you can see I also wax it with whatever real, as long as it's a tires wax and not a dubbing wax, because it's not as sticky. But I think it really just helps lock everything in. And I'll try to go into greater detail as I'm doing each technique and any other kind of tidbit that I think would be worthwhile. So I think when it comes to Catskill style flies, in the hook, in the vise is an old mustad, a vintage mustad 94840 in a size 12, which was very common back in the day, tying these flies. Alcocks even before that, and then into mustads after World War II. So this is a vintage one. I wanted to try to go authentic. So I think one of the first things that people do or don't do is they start the thread, I think, or they put their wings too far forward towards the hook eye. And I think it's really important to start the thread back at least 2 hook eye widths back from the eye. I think by doing that you're setting yourself up to proportion the fly correctly. You'd be surprised if you put them up a little bit further, how then you really don't have a lot of room for the front side of the hackle, the hackle that goes towards the eye after the wing. So putting it at least 2 hook eyes back, I think sets you up to start the fly off right. So it's a little further than I would put it back on other styles of more modern dry flies, mayflies. Okay. So once that's on there, I am going to get 2 wood duck feathers, and I use 2. I know a lot of people use 1, and that's totally fine. I like the look of 2 better. It's obviously a subjective thing. You can make really nice looking Catskill flies using just 1. But if you look right here, I have cleaned the feathers up, and you want to find feathers that have very even tips. You can see that one's pretty even, and that one's pretty even. And also a thing I don't think a lot of people talk about, but you really want to try to find a similar curvature. If you're used to working with wood duck, you'll know that depending on where it was taken off on the bird or on the duck, the curvature of the feathers are different. So you want to try to find one. I don't know if it's going to be able to show up here, but you can see that, the curvature on that one, and then the curvature on the other one. It's very similar, and that helps make it look nice and even and flare away from each other. And again, you can see the tips are relatively even there as well. And the other last thing on the wood duck is the barring. You want to try to find similar barring. Sometimes wood duck feathers have some darker barring. You want to save those for March browns. Typically call for a darker barred wood duck feather. And you want to make sure you appropriately peel off the fibers that you don't need. You don't want too much material. About twice the hook gape, three times the hook gape on depending on the hook. So those are the two feathers. They're going to get paired back to back, so they're flared away. And give me a second while I do that. So you can see here how they're flaring away. And then you just kind of squish them down so that they all compact nicely. And then you want to always check, so you can see here that one is longer than the other. One bunch is longer than the other, so I'm going to even that out, make sure everything's nice and even. Make sure I have the correct length. So you want, in my opinion, I like to, the finished fly, I like the wood duck wings to be longer than the hackle. So typically I will do at least one full hook length, including the eye. So from the back of the hook to the front of the eye in length, in terms of the length of the wing. I'd rather the wings a little bit longer than shorter. Alright. So now that I think I have the right length, I'll check it again. You can see my bunch right here. Try to get in the camera for you. It's going to go right on top of the wing. I'm going to go up, make a pinch wrap. Put 2 on there, and then I go back, about 6, 7 turns. And then I'll check where I am. So I'm good in terms of where the wing is on the hook. Now I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to pull back, let you see there. So there's plenty of room now for the hackle in front to tie off. And then as per tradition, and not necessary, but as per tradition, I try to leave a little bit of bare hook in the front. So you want to be back enough so that there is some bare hooks. We'll see if we get that at the end. The next thing I'll do is I will make an angle cut, and I will cut the butt ends off at an angle. So there's my angled cut, and then I will hold the butts and I will wrap back, and I always wrap till I do a turn or two on bare hook shank, and then I come back up and then sweep the wings all the way back, and I will put some dam wraps right up against the base, 5 or 6 of them. And the goal is that they're standing, straight up. And then take a look. They kind of look like a mess, but you just kind of reach in and you find the center. You find each pile, you look just to make it even. This is about even. And now I'm going to start the technique for actually tying the wings and posting them, making them divided and upright. So there's lots of different ways to do this, and nothing is wrong. It's just different ways. So I'm going to basically do an X wrap from the front to the back of the wing on the far side, then come around and go from the back to the front of the wing, and then I'm going to come up around the back wing and I'm going to hold it up. This is where I'm going to get it up and posted and around. And then I'm going to come up in between the two and go around. And it's a little tricky because you want to do this and manipulate it with your hands at the same time. So now they're up, but I always do it twice. So up and around the back. Get some thread up there. So up and around the back. And I want these to stand nice up. And then through the middle. Through the middle and in the back again. Then what I'll do is I'll typically go around and just go right around the actual feather twice, encircle it, and I'll come up around, tie the hook out here, come around, 1, 2, and I'll work my way all the way back to the where I'm going to put the tail in. So tough to see, and I apologize if I take my glasses off, but you can kind of see they're up there divided right now, but they're a little bit shaggy. So what I'll typically do, I'll always come in with a pair of fine point scissors, and I will now trim out anything that looks off, and I'll clean them up to try to make them look as nice as possible. The ones that are kind of splayed out, that are just not never gonna look right, and kind of give it a little trim. There you go. One more here. Perfect. So now you can kind of see they look nice and posted, upright and divided. Alright, so now we're going to go to the tail. I'm just using one of the longer side feathers that have longer barbs on it, from a barred medium done. It's like a barred medium done Collins hackle, Collins cape I should say. And I pull off about a dozen or so. I even them up, as you can kind of see there. They're evened up. I'll grab them and I pull the stem away. So you can see a nice little bunch there. I like a nice full tail, so as long as the hook as well, a little bit longer than the hook shank. So you can see it right there. And I'll do one wrap underneath, kind of splays them up, and then one more. Come and just trim some of the butt ends out. So I don't go all the way up and back. You can absolutely do that, but I don't typically do it. Now I'm going to use a stripped peacock quill, which I stripped myself. You can see here there's really nice two-tone coloration, the light and the dark. It's pretty visible. It's kind of dark. I don't have the best lighting in here, so but I can tell you that it is it is a good one. You want to try to find the biggest peacock eyes that you can. Let me switch my view here. You know, compared to my hand, it's a pretty, you know, my hands are about a glove size large, and you can see how big this eye is, and I've used the one side of it pretty good. So you want the longest that you can find. And a little tip, and I'll probably post a video that goes into this in more detail, but there's a Renomed tool, one of their tweezers. I don't know what number it is, but this is the tweezer. And it makes stripping the flue off of these quills, it takes a matter of seconds. It does a great job without breaking the quill. I mean, you can break it if you squeeze them hard enough, but there's a perfect kind of amount of tension that just, as you pull it through, it will strip the barbs off very, very quickly in a matter of seconds and give you a nice clean peacock herl quill or eye quill. All right. So now you're left with that, and I think that shows it pretty good. You can see the black edge right there, and then the light. So when I do wrap this, it's gonna look good. So what I do is I want the black edge to lead the way, but I tie it in so that the white is leading. Now what I'll do is I'll make those wraps touching, because you want to have a smooth underbody because it's a quill, and if you don't, you know, you're gonna get some lumps and bumps. Okay, and then I will turn this over and twist it so that the front leading the way. Right now it's tied in so that the white is leading the way, but I'm going to turn it, and now the black is leading the way. So you want to be careful of the hook point when you do this, and hopefully you can see the nice segmented effect that these quills give. This is nice and long. I have plenty here. I'm going to do one more. And again, in tying these old ones, I do it kind of true to the way Mary Deddy showed me how to do it. So they didn't really take the time to always completely even everything out. I mean, you can make the body in such a way that it's super, super smooth, so the quill really looks smooth. You can kind of see that. It kind of goes, and then there's it kind of more of a jarring thickness than normally I would do on some other flies, but this is the way I was shown how to do it, so I don't really worry about the underbody being super, super, super smooth. And then I'll cut that off right there. And then this is a little trick that Mary showed me. I'll go back, angle back towards the tail, and I'll wrap back over. I essentially X-wrap the quill with thread, and then once I put some varnish on that, it will disappear. You won't even see the wraps at all. Alright, so now everything's looking pretty good so far. We've got the tail, we've got the body, we've got the wings, and lastly we're going to put on the hackle. So I strip some hackle. I'm using 2 feathers on this size 12. Again, this is a barred dun, and I'll show you. That's what the hackle looks like. And I put them together so that they're curving the same, not against each other, so they're not flaring away from each other. They're cupping kind of on top of each other. And I will put the thicker stem in first, and one of these stems is noticeably thicker than the other, so I'll put that one on top. And when I tie them onto the hook shank, the thicker one is going to be the first one I tie in. So hopefully the second one, being thinner, will just kind of fall in between the wraps of the first one a little bit easier. So I always leave a little bit of bare quill. And what I'll do before I tie in front of the wing is I'll just clip off a little bit more of the quill in front because it was going to go too far to the eye. Alrighty. So now you have both feathers tied in on the side of the hook shank. The thicker stem is the first, and that's a pretty good, I think, view of it. You can see a little bit of the bare stem right here. And now you just want to make sure you're not wrapping too many times. So what I'll do is I'll take this one and I always push it forward. It just kind of bends that stem a little bit, enables it to wrap correctly. So one. So I'm going to do 3 behind. And let's see how many I'll do in the front. 2, 3. I'll do 3 behind and 3 in front, and I will cross over my thread, catch it twice. And now the next, same thing, kind of kink the thread, or kink the hook, the stem I should say. Do 4, 1, 2, front, catch it. Alright, so now I'm going to clip off the hackle tips, and I'm going to whip finish, and then I'll clean up the hackle. Do a 4-turn whip finish. Alright. Now there's a whole bunch of hackles that kind of got trapped right in the front here, so I'm just going to clip them off. Alright, so it's a pretty full hackle collar. I'm just going to take it out of the vise real quick and just check. Alright. can see the wings are upright and divided. The hackle collar's good. And then I won't do it on camera, but the little head up in the front right there's a tiny bit of bare stem. I could have went a tiny bit further back, but it's totally fine. I'll put a little bit of varnish right on that knot in the front. And then I will varnish the back side here of the quill. Those thread wraps will instantly disappear. And the fly will be done. Let it dry and the fly will be done. So that's a quick little demonstration on a Catskill style dry. And I'll take it out of the vise again. I'll look if there's any stray fiber I wanna cut, but it looks pretty good as is. And the tail could have been a little bit straighter, but not a big deal. Sometimes when this fibers do splay out, it gives it a little bit more support on the back end of the bend of the hook. So cool. Hope you like it. Let me know what you think. Thanks.